Hello there, commanders, and welcome back to War Games Institute Tournament number 2. We're in a third place match between Geese, who have lost after a very close semi-final to White Wolves, and War Games Institute team themselves after they have lost to SUNTZU in the other semi-final. I highly recommend you watch these as well, these battles. And for me, I am back after quite a while to this tournament, because in the meantime we had another tournament, Battle of Gladiators, and I'm probably going to publish videos from Battle of Gladiators first before these battles, so I highly recommend you watch those. We also had two Alpis Graia battles in there, so it will be very interesting if you could compare, and well, I can compare them as well, for any similarities or differences, to draw some interesting conclusions from them. But anyway, let's focus on this battle first. And well, the first thing that you'll notice that is somewhat maybe out of the ordinary for you, not really for me, is that the Russian team is entirely composed of infantry, and mostly heavy infantry as well, obviously. They have not a single unit of cavalry, not a single unit of dogs even, no elephants, no ranged units, just infantry. The Chinese team, slightly more flexible variant in their composition. They do have 3 units of archers, 3 units of elephants, and 3 units of dogs, also no cavalry. And yeah, that's a very sneaky combo over here, if you could have noticed. That is a pike phalanx with Kenane, with rapid advance, and then buffed by Cao Cao's 1 step ahead, which makes the minimum movement speed 100%, which essentially means that your speed cannot be debuffed even by yourself, which means that 80% movement speed debuff that comes from pike phalanx or pike wall is completely neutralized by 1 step ahead. And that means that this pike phalanx can just move as if it wasn't a pike phalanx, but it still reap all the benefits of it. And you could see how quickly it just charged forward. It was essentially a charge, given it's 5 times faster than under regular circumstances, and just mowed through the front lines of infantry, which is what the Russian team exactly wants to do, just to punch forward with their heavy mass of a lot of infantry and just go straight into the point without just caring about any of the support units that the Chinese team may bring. But that's happening on this flank, and it happened very quickly. Obviously, if you have only infantry, all you want to do is rush, not even leave anything behind to defend. Sort of, not really. So the Chinese cavalry could easily just go back and try to back up something. Where is the Chinese cavalry anyway? Oh yeah, they don't have any. They have elephants. They could use elephants for that. Yeah. I was thinking about our battles somehow, for some reason, where we did have cavalry. So maybe a minor spoiler, we did back up something. But yeah, you can see pretty much the same combo being used over here. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw a Cao Cao over here. No? Maybe he retreated, maybe he's in here. Maybe he died. Unless both Cao Caos are over there. But yeah, they just use pikes, just push forward, push the enemies out of the point so that they can start capping. Elephants have to suffer quite a huge pull-through penalty for pikes. Well, the other one went around, so they'll buy some time, but other than these 2 elephants, there is nothing else on top of these points. See, pretty much captured for free, as the Chinese team was too occupied defending their points, just being completely overwhelmed by the sheer mass of wave after wave after wave of infantry. Essentially just a never-ending supply of heavy infantry pushing forward at them. They're running desperately to the healing zone, so now the Russians will need to go around and try to deny the healing. But even without that, maybe they will be able to capture point A. But anyway, the Chinese team has only gotten 400 points by now, and now they're on 0 points gained because all of their points are being contested. Well, both of them. C has been captured pretty much for free, as I said earlier. So that already poses Russians on a very good position going forward. And if they know their stuff, they are not going to leave that advantage, let go of that advantage. They aren't going to let it go to waste. There we go. So now they have pulled back. The power of the healing zone is still very, very high. So it means that the Chinese team will hold on to A and most likely hold on to B as well, as the Russians didn't really put anything to deny the healing. So now they're recalling back their troops, well, not recalling us into the base, but just moving them back all the way to the healing zones, respawning some of the players that have died, and just preparing for another push. Their points totally uncontested, so they have all the time in the world to just prepare another attack. Some of these units die, and well, the Chinese only hope right now would be to try to organize some kind of counterattack and hope that Russians will just attack without any synchronization. So what Chinese team essentially wants to, well, I keep defaulting to the national cap mode, where it's just China versus Russia, but it's War Games Institute versus Geese, and Geese are not even entirely Russian, they have some Ukrainians, I imagine, as well. Although I don't really know these players, so I have no idea whether they're all Russians and if there are some Ukrainians, which might those be. And there you go. Cannon Pikes plus one step ahead combo, and it just charges forward. And apparently it's not an aura, it's just an AoE, right? But a difference between an AoE and an aura is that to be affected by the aura, you need to stay within the aura. But if it's not an aura, just an AoE ability, then you just need to be there upon the activation in order to receive it. Which is what happens here. So Cao Cao just, you know, runs past, gives the buff, and then can do what he wants. And the pikes can just go and charge. There is the counter in the form of dogs, and these are cannon pikes. Leonidas pikes would just be able to shield budget dogs to death. Since it's Kanana, it can suffer some significant damage, but it can just, you know, run away and disengage. Now, Pike Phalanx, also one step ahead, but almost expired, so a little bit mistiming there by the Russian team, or rather, the Geese team. Another ridiculous name, just like Billy. Or the Billy is probably from Billy, like the Chinese YouTube, I don't know. Anyway, Russians are pushing again. This time they're leaving something to defend from backcapping. The players have just died over there at B are respawning. Something literally just died over here because B was contested just a second ago. These now being contested by elephants, so that is a really good move out of War Games Institute. They're putting elephants, a unit that is very difficult to remove, or it just takes a long time to remove it, especially if you have only heavy infantry and pikes are just not there. So elephants are a perfect tool to just buy more time by just contesting the points. Because even though Geese have 3 points captured, they are gaining only 1 point per second, 1.1. And War Games Institute was gaining 2 points per second until B was just completely abandoned. They got caught off guard over here, like in the middle of their transition. They only had 6 units over on this flank, 3 rushed forward, 3 went back to heal, and B has been now flipped before they could even come back after healing. So I said that the Chinese team, well, the War Games Institute needs to hope for some kind of miscoordination from Geese, but it turns out that it was the other way around. So yeah, quite a big fail on the part of War Games Institute team over here. Just essentially gave up B for free, and now they need to retreat, and now they're down to just 1 point. I'm still contesting D with elephants. It's still at half health, but now pikes have respawned. Do they have Cao Cao in here? No, that's just Caesar and Sula as well. Imagine the combo of 1 step ahead buffed pikes against elephants. That would be quite OP. I mean, the pikes are still quite good against elephants if the elephants get caught, but with 1 step ahead, they're pretty much guaranteed being caught. Yeah, instead we get a pike phalanx that don't deal friendly fire and the elephants runs away, but that is essentially the objective completed, because what they wanted to do is that this point D not being contested anymore, which is not. Now the elephant is going to the healing zone behind C, trying to deny it, but there's nothing really healing up there, which they should be able to see because they have the watchtower. So taking C is an option for them. Well, they do have a slight window of opportunity that is now closing, as the infantry that has camped B is arriving to C. And I can only predict a very, very slow and suffocating death for war games in this team, because that's what infantry team does to you. But yeah, sure, you can go there, you can tell me it's ranged meta, right? Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that even though I'm saying it's not ranged meta, it is infantry meta, right? That the Russians will go on the record and say, I'm not saying these particular Russians, the ones are in this team playing here, but I'm saying in general, the Russian teams, they're one big community anyway. Although there's quite a lot of division and drama between them as well, so I don't know. I don't really want to dig deeper into that. But it would be like, oh, SUNTZU is dodging Russian teams in tournaments. Well, for example, just recently we had Battle of Gladiators, a Russian tournament, and there was supposed to be a Russian team over there, but they just didn't show up. So, who's dodging whom, huh? And yeah, they also like tried to mock me for saying that, oh, I keep saying that it's ranged meta, while it's quite the opposite that I keep saying, and they also pull out 30 units of melee infantry. Yeah, they obviously say that in a mocking manner, that, you know, oh, obviously I'm wrong, blah blah blah, whatever. Their logic just doesn't really hold up, no matter how you try to interpret it. Now that I think about it, it just doesn't make sense, other than them being not nice people. So yeah.
Our unit is under attack.
But we do have a very nice evidence over here, and even minus the war games did fuck up over here at B, although it was somewhat like half a forced error, because there obviously are just errors, mistakes made by the players themselves or the team overall making a wrong call, and then there are forced mistakes because you apply some pressure. Like for example, if this infantry didn't arrive in time, these archers would have been caught out by infantry, but they had to, because otherwise the point would be captured by Geese already. So the archers had to stay there inside the point and hold it for the infantry to arrive. Luckily for them, it arrived in time, but it would be an example of a forced error, right? Essentially, the team had to do it. They had to sacrifice these ranged units. So I don't know if you even call it an error, right? Depends on how you classify this, really. But that's why we call it a forced error, rather than just an error or a forced mistake. And yeah, the power of healing zones and everything else just causes it to be pretty much a stalemate. The Russians are slowly pushing in because they just have a mass of infantry. They're able to heal and keep pushing into A. But War Games Institute should be able to hold on to A as well for some time. I don't know, maybe they'll lose it before battle ends, maybe they will not. Depends on what they try to do. Because essentially, if they want to win this battle, which is what you should always have in your mind while playing in a tournament or playing in any battle, but especially in a tournament, is trying to win rather than just trying to lose a little bit more gracefully. So what the Chinese team wants to do, obviously, is while holding A with minimal forces needed, they need to get D. Problem is that they're under such a high pressure, constant pressure of heavy infantry that is very unforgiving of mistakes. They need to put quite a significant amount of forces on A just to defend it, and then they would need to send a significant force to go to D and try to cap it, and then after taking D, they would also need to hold D and cap the base while all of that's happening, and obviously they have less and less time to do it, as the Russians take in 4.5 points per second. So yeah, obviously saying the timer over here, we know that is not going to happen. They're going to hold A. And we can also look at the scoreboard, I guess, at this point, as the battle is almost over. Well, it's still 2 minutes, so we can wait a little bit. B is being captured ever so slightly because all of these units are outside of it, but obviously going back is not a problem at all, and they'll just go around, or no, they'll just move in a one big blob. After all, it's Hannibal Phalanx, right? So what else would you expect? Yeah, so just blob, pull through, and with just the sheer power of infantry being infantry. As I said multiple times in my videos, but obviously people will not believe me because I'm biased towards range. With this battle, I had nothing to do. I just beat the Chinese team. That's why they are over here in the third place match. And then I have also beaten the team that has beaten the Russians. So there we go. SUNTZU won the tournament, going undefeated in this tournament. Maybe because, you know, I'm the captain, I did the draft, and like I knew what we were doing. Although I did pick a ranged unit, to be honest. But it was, let's say, not willingly. It was a sacrifice, it was a trade-off. Essentially, we trade taking a wars draft, and what we gain by having a wars draft is essentially me being on the battlefield. Because if you were to play a full melee composition like the Geese team does over here, well, either I would be an infantry player, and I'm a very bad infantry player, or I would not be there at all, and then we wouldn't have a captain. Well, we would have a captain, but a different one. So yeah, Arcane is still pretty good, but it's a 10-man team, so we need to really have like 2 to 3 really good captains that are able to take over from each other. One to command left, one to command center, one to command right flank, or depending on how the situation unveils itself on the battlefield, to react to it properly. So yeah, definitely 2 or 3 mines are better than 1 or 2. That was this battle. Pretty much over from the very early game, decided. That's another one of my points. A lot of battles are decided very, very early, because defense is so easy. Defending a point is super easy compared to how hard it is to attack and take over a point. C was neutral, obviously, so that's a different story, but the Geese managed to capture it, and then B has been captured because of an armed-forced mistake, or semi-forced mistake from the War Games in the tournament, where they pushed in with 3 units, and not even the closest route, they just went around. So the Geese just went for the most straightforward route, and they just went straight out of our point, and to their surprise probably as well, there was nobody there. The units that were supposed to be there were all healing instead of trying to cycle each other. So yeah, that was a pretty big mistake. The Wargames probably did not expect the Russian attack to come back so soon, but well, it did. They didn't calculate it properly, and they lost B, but they would have lost anyway, just slightly slower if they held on to that. Because after a point is captured, it's so difficult to get it back that usually just whoever takes C wins the battle, unless there are some really, really big mistakes from the team that got ahead early that would allow the team that is behind to come back into the game. Yeah, because Arena essentially lacks good comeback mechanics, which is one of my issues. But maybe at this point in time, a video of mine has been published. I have no idea how I'll title it because I haven't finished it yet. But essentially, I'm writing my own patch notes, and I'm intending to put all of my feedback in one place, in one video, in a text document format, and then go over it as if it were actual patch notes or a devlog, or actually both at the same time, like League of Legends style rather than Arena, because Arena just gives us pure patch notes with close to no explanation as to why they are there. It's just these units have been nerfed, these units have been buffed, this and this has been introduced, but like no commentary to it, right? Well, League of Legends and many other games do it much better, where it's, hey, we are introducing this change because we found out that this, and this, and this. Yeah, you get a point. So, you will be able to watch that video either in the near future, or you may have already watched it. And if you didn't, then you can, if that video is up. Because I have no idea when I will finish it, I have no idea when I'll publish it, but I know this video is quite a while away from when I'm recording, probably like 2 months. No, actually not 2 months, a month. More or less. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and well, I will see you in the next one. The next battle of this third place match, maybe the third one as well, because I actually don't know who won. So that is a nice dynamic for once.